tank of gas. Does he boots on the wood, let the whiskey pass? This is FAFO.
Welcome, you crazy ass outlaws, once again to the FAFO Podcast. And today we are joined by Jeff Revilla. And I hope I'm saying his last name right, because y'all know I'm terrible with butchering names, a trend that obviously is going to continue. But today, Jeff joins us to talk about Poduty Live. And I'm excited about this because this is one of the country's first venues built specifically for live podcasting. And this is located, I believe it's in Tarrantine, Pennsylvania. Poduty Live is changing how creators think about podcasting by helping them turn traditional shows into live interactive experiences that build communities and generate real revenue. Jeff has spent more than 2 decades in digital marketing and over 10 years in podcasting and live streaming. He is also the author of the new business model for podcasting, and we'll talk about that, and host of the popular trivia podcast Stuff I Never Knew, proving that education and entertainment can absolutely go hand in hand. Today, we're talking about the future of podcasting, building communities instead of just audiences, monetization, entrepreneurship, and where the creator economy is headed next. Jeff, welcome to the show, brother.
This is the face of the future of podcasting. Look at me go.
There you go. Who would have known?
Yeah.
I love it, but I really do love it. I love the concept. How in the world did you decide this is the way you wanted your career to go?
It was kind of a combination of, there was this platform called Blab that came around in like 2015, was one of the first 4 in the box live stream. It had no business model. It lasted for like 2 years and then collapsed under its own weight. But what happened during those 2 years was it had this amazing community element where you could go live and within 3 minutes, 30, 40, 50 people would be on your stream interacting, leaving comments. You could send commands and shake the screen or make it snow or give props, and coins would be flying everywhere. And it was chaos. And it was the most amazing community experience I ever felt online. And I still haven't felt anything like that since 2015. And so I started this trivia show on that platform, and I got in contact with a television station who wanted to start producing it for TV. And it was for local television. So we would take the show into bars and restaurants and small local businesses. We'd promote their business as a feature of the show. And then maybe their employees or patrons would be the contestants. And we would have this community show that's like a little Jeopardy that like travels around our town. And we would record that and release that for television to promote the local area. But what happened is we scheduled our first show for March 31st, 2020, which was pretty bad timing, 2 weeks after the COVID pandemic started. And because we couldn't go live anymore, we started to do the show virtually, and we would just bring people up like we're doing here today. But this in the back of my head, in the bottom of my heart, I was like, there's got to be a way to get that community element together. How can I perform the show live in front of people and broadcast it to the world? And the idea I came up with was called, at that time, was the Infinite Seat Theater. It was I could have this little setup. I could travel anywhere. I could go to a basement, a raging kegger in a basement at a college dorm, and set up my show and record and broadcast at the same time. So this idea of a portable theater space that I could record podcasts anywhere. But that I just turned 50, right? So I'm not really going to raging keggers on college campuses. So it's like, what if I had a nice quiet space that held 40 seats, and I put cameras all around the theater, and I could broadcast it out? So now I'm back to square one, where I have a community in front of me. I have a community watching me online, and I'm able to perform my show and get it out to the world, share this experience, let the audience immerse themselves in that feeling. Like, how when you listen to a podcast on your morning commute, you feel like you're in the room. Well, now you are in the room. You're actually in the room watching the podcast. And it kind of it's funny, like it's like a 10-year journey that really circles back to those early days from Blab. Really built this idea of this little like baby TV studio for podcasting.
So what was it like doing those first shows in front of a live audience like that?
It's chaos and it's a rush. Like I cut my teeth, streaming. So performing in front of people, especially a Blab with 30 people, you knew right away if you're holding that room or not.
Oh, yeah.
As if it gets down to 10 people, your show stinks, buddy. You're like, Blab's giving you 30, 40 people off the bat. Like, hey, new show goes live. Everybody would rush to that show. If you held them, you were doing good. So the first 20 some episodes I recorded that way, and it's 20 hours of practice of
Yeah.
doing a show. And what's funny too, like when I would write the questions, I would record those shows with 8 contestants, and I didn't know who they were prior to going live. So if you go back to those really, really early shows, which aren't like the best edited or best quality, those 8 people on that show, I had no idea who they were going to be when I hit record. That's how powerful that was. And that stuck with me this whole time was how do I build that in real life? How do we build a podcast community? We can't just continue to record in our basements and upload MP3 files. There's got to be something more, something greater, that podcasting can be something so much bigger than just an MP3 file.
And that is so true. And I knew when I got into this business that I was like, okay, podcasting is fun and it's great. And if you're listening to podcasts, like people will consume podcasts like crazy. But also people love the video medium as well. And combining those two was going to be a challenge as for me, as far as I go, because I wasn't that super savvy on how to make the audiences work together. And that's something I'm still trying to learn with this new podcast. I do a reaction channel on YouTube I've got 17,000 people on my subscriber base, and that's great. But this kind of long form podcast like this is completely different, but it's so fulfilling. Do you find that your audience grows along with you as you continue to do more and more episodes through this?
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. I mean, I'm really attacking this from 2 fronts. One is this is a very new form of entertainment. Just we know that, like, when you want to go see a comedian, you go to a comedy club. When you want to listen to a band, you go to a bar or a small theater or a venue that does music. But where do you go for live podcasting? Nobody knows the answer at this point. They know that, okay, I do see some famous actors. They're filling up arenas. They're filling up large theaters in my town, but there's nobody below them. There's nobody who's cutting their teeth, who's grinding away. We have a lot of podcasters who record in home studios, home basements. But how do I go from my home studio to Madison Square Garden? There's no stepping stone. There's no structure. There's no middle clubs, no bars and restaurants to perform at. So what we're trying to do is how do we become that stepping stone that gets people to the next level? And so we're trying to find talent for the stage. We're trying to find the podcasters who want to perform live. And at the same time, we're trying to find the people who want to come watch us, right? So each time we're growing a mailing list. We're remarketing to those people to get them to come back. And we've had people do 5, 6, 7 shows already. And they started with 2 or 3 people, like, and their mom, or like their sister would come and support them. And now they come back and they're doing 15, 20, 30 tickets per episode because people are catching on, like, okay, there's something here. There's something more magical than just waiting for their episode to come out Monday morning at 6 a.m. I can go see them recorded and hang out with them afterward, go next door to the bar and get a beer, get some appetizers, and just have a whole night out being with people again. It's this weird concept that people are finding out about in 2026. That, hey, you can go out and be with people. You can hang out and do social things again. People need these connections. And I think venues like what I'm building are going to provide that type of connection. And they're starting to pop up. I just heard a rumor of somebody building one in Buffalo. Someone's building one in North Carolina. So this wave is coming. Like, people want a place, these middlers, like these DIY podcasters who can't fill theaters and arenas and don't want to rent a hotel ballroom for $10,000. These little theater spaces are going to give them the opportunity once in a while to get out of the home studio and perform their show live in front of an audience. And that's what we're trying to grow. We're growing the talent and we're growing the patrons that'll come in and watch it.
That is again, it's so clever and so smart to do. And I think it does elevate and benefit that podcasting community. How has these guys who are coming in and doing their shows now at your venue, how were they at first compared to, because you talked about how they've grown their audience, but what was that experience like for those guys coming in from maybe just behind a computer screen, and now you're performing live, and performing live is a completely different monster.
Yeah.
When you have actual people around you watching you. How has that been, and how has their what am I trying to say here? How have they been towards you about that and that experience and that growth? How have you seen them like blossom?
Yeah. One of my favorite parts and one of the most uncomfortable parts is like the 1 hour before showtime where they have this nervous energy. If you saw it, you would know it like, okay, they're nervous. That's nervous energy. And they're pacing around, they're picking things up and setting them down again for no reason. They're going through notes after notes, and my goal is to relax them. Like, this is a safe space. This is a place where, you're here for a reason. Like, you have some talent. I want you on this stage. Like, you're good enough to be here. So, that nervous energy is something I really try to calm down for the hour before the show. I said, go outside, take a walk, get some fresh air. We're going to do the show and you're going to be fine. And then when they get off stage at the end of the show, I mean, they are juiced, like they are fired up, like I don't know what kind of drug it would be, like they just hit an 8-ball or something, and they're like bouncing off the walls. They're giddy, they're high energy. It's one of the best experiences they've ever had, and they're so glad they went through that process. So, really that you see that transition in one show, not just all over multiple shows. That nervous energy drops a little bit. They get a little more comfortable. But even in the first night of their first show, they go from nervous wreck to like Tony Robbins level, like super juiced. And
yeah, that rock and roll syndrome is a real thing. I mean, it just, by the time you're done performing up there, and it's just your body, like I said, you're juiced pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's a great feeling, and I can see why they would want to come back, because you're ready for more of that feeling.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you really serve as a really good mentor to these people coming in here doing these shows. And a lot of people online don't have that, right? And that's I see the benefits of what you do here is they can get that face-to-face mentorship, where a lot of times if you go and you look up a guru, a podcasting or a streaming guru, they're still not kind of real to you. You know what I mean? It's not really personable. And I love this personal aspect you give. How has that been for you on a personal level, watching the growth of these other performers come in?
Oh, I love it. I'm a DIY to the bone. Like that. I grew up in the 80s and 90s. I was into skateboarding and punk rock and all these counterculture things that were, they weren't just these counterculture things, but they were things that people were figuring out how to do on their own. Like the skateboard industry in the 80s and 90s became run by the skateboarders. They owned the companies, the manufacturing, the whole process was skater owned and operated. And these independent labels, these punk rock bands, the indie movement of the 90s, those were all self-produced. They were their own record label, their distribution. And so that idea of you can totally create something outside of the record system, outside of the corporations who are building other toy products, you could take ownership of this stuff. And so in the early 2000s, I had a skateboard shop and a manufacturing shop and a mail order company. I was selling skateboards all over the world. I took control of that. I took ownership of that. And when I found podcasting in 2007, 2008, around that time, I realized that, okay, wait a second. These people were like little baby Ted Turners. They are like industry leaders in their own network, in their own niche. They are owning this material. They are the distributors of this material. And so that amplifies me so much that you have so much power now. Like right now with us, with 2 microphones, what we're controlling, this is your product. You own this. You're distributing this. This is yours. Like, no, you don't have to answer to anybody. And I don't have to answer to anybody. I can create something and produce it and share it with the world and let it just ripple out and influence other people to do very similar things. So that type of power, that DIY mentality, the independent thinker, that's what motivates me. Like, I want to show like 100 people, like, you can be your own Lorne Michaels and produce your own TV show. Like, you can be Oprah, you could be Whitney Cummings, you could be all these great people who know that the power is in the production, the ownership, the distribution. that's you when you have a podcast. And that's the, I don't preach like, like you mentioned guru stuff. Like
Yeah.
I'm telling you, take ownership, you be you and you own everything. That's the dream.
And I agree with that 1,000% because, and you've seen it, the successful podcasters out there and slash streamer or streamer have done that very thing. Like they've done what they wanted to do for their show and became their personality, their own producer. They're doing their thing, and they've shown that the power and the future of media is right here between people talking.
Yeah. Like you're
and
Alex
on a station.
Yeah, your Alex Cooper, your Joe Rogans. Those are teams of like 6 or 8 people making millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And those are high end, those are the top scale, the top echelon, but it doesn't take much to do this, to produce something of value, to share something with the world. Even if you just want to talk with your buddies on Tuesday night and call it a podcast, what a great way to stay in contact with your friends. And that's a product that you own and you distribute, and your friends and family are a part of it. But if you have a business and you want to find leads and find customers, what a great way to, instead of buying or renting the audience from the TV station or the newspaper, you can create your own audience now. You don't have to do that. You can have ownership over all of this and all that distribution. It's so powerful.
So I want to talk about your book for a minute. The New Business Model for Podcasting. How did you decide that you wanted to put out this book? What made you go that route?
Well, 2 things. One is I host monthly meetups all the time, and I talk about this stuff at every monthly. If you come to the meetups, they're free. I buy you pizza and drinks, and I tell you the exact business model that I do to run this theater. Like I want you to be a part of it. I want this thing. It's kind of like the gospel of live podcasting, right? Yeah. And the other thing is I also want to speak more at conferences, and just having a business card and a college degree isn't enough anymore. You got to have a book. So I was like, I wonder if I could self-produce a book. And so I did it like over a weekend, and I recorded the audio book myself. I published it through Kindle Direct. I published it through printing on demand. I even printed. I just wanted to see if I could do it. So now I have a book. So when I want to go speak in conferences, that's kind of like my calling card. Like, hey, look, I wrote a book. I'm an author now. You got to let me in. Like Jeff's here. Yeah. So one of it was there is a different perspective that once you shift your mind and you realize the value of a visitor. And the short math of the book here, I'll give it away for you in 30 seconds, is if you were to read ads on your podcast, which is the goal that a lot of podcasters stream for, you may get $20 per 1,000 downloads for an ad rate, which is really good. But when you break that down, it's about 2 cents per listener. So the value of a digital download is worth about 2 cents when you break down the advertising you can get per 1,000 downloads. But if you were to sell 10 tickets in the theater at $10 a piece, those 10 people would give you $50. That $50 puts you, or $10, that's $10 per person that you're making per person.
Yeah.
You take half of that, so you get 50. So anyway, the short term is, one visitor in a theater is worth $10. One digital download is worth 2 cents. Which number would you rather chase? And so when we start thinking of podcasting a little bit differently, we start thinking of it as a live event versus a digital download. There's a lot more opportunity with a lot fewer people, which is a lot more realistic for most podcasters. Most podcasters, 90% don't even get to 1,000 downloads an episode, and that's okay. That's fine. That's the reality of podcasting in 2026. Yeah. But it's also a lot more realistic for a local podcast to draw 10, 15 people, and you might make $150 for a single show, which is way more than you'll ever be able to attain through the traditional way of reading ads for Sherry's Berries or MeUndies or Purple Mattress. Now you have another way, another revenue stream, and another type of community that you can build in real life.
And that's absolute truth. I see people and they ask me all the time when they know this, when they find out I do things like this, they're like, I bet you're making money. I'm like, I have some income coming in, yes. But if you think this is something that's going to make you rich in the short term, I think people still forget about there's a grind and there's work you have to put in. It's not just flipping on the computer and just saying, all right, today we're just going. Well, how do you fight the doldrum of some of the things that you still know that you have to do? And I can just tell you, for me, it's because I enjoy everything that I do about it. That's my easy answer for it. How do you see this?
Yeah, I love it. Like, I would be doing this even if it wasn't like the business model. Like, I love this idea of performing live podcasting and taking it to the world. What I want to do is really show people that this is like, podcasting doesn't have to just be about money. We get so focused on this is the money, this is what it has to be, and you're only successful if you have money. But no, you can just cover your expenses. And if you love doing this, your one show where you made $150 and your hosting is $10 a month, your one show just covered your hobby for the year. And that's okay too. Like, if you just imagine you love doing this, you're going to do this, whether there's income coming in from YouTube ads or pre-roll ads, or you don't care. Like, it's fun to connect with people, meet new people, make new connections, get introduced to new people. This is a great way to grow a network. And that's another great way to approach it. The end goal doesn't always have to be monetizing. This could be a party. A lot of times my shows that people come in, they also bring in like full catering spreads. I've had people bring in barbecue. They buy pizza for everybody. Like, it's a party atmosphere. It's a celebration. If you're wrapping your season 1 and you want to celebrate with your fans and your friends and your family, this is a great way to do it. And you can do these amazing in-person live podcasts just by bringing a couple of people together, just by having people at the theater. You're building something so much bigger than just recording it in your home studio. And distributing that MP3 file. You're distributing like love and information and community through all the people who show up, and that's contagious, and that spreads.
Man, see, I wish I lived in Pittsburgh now. Around your area. I mean, because that just sounds like such a fun, cool, and it's not just an experience, it's community building. And I love that more than anything, because on my other channel, that's what we talk about a lot on my actual YouTube channels. Our channel is built on community, what the people like. Like, I won't necessarily do all the things that I want to do. It's what the community wants to do, because that's how you build it, right? It can't just be about you. Like,
you're gonna love this next part.
So go ahead with that.
Yeah, this next part. While I do have a theater space, and you mentioned that you wish you were in Pittsburgh, you don't have to be in Pittsburgh. And this is part of what I tell people, because a lot of times we're streaming, we have people watching our meetups from all over the country, and I say, hey, you might have a bar that's slow on a Wednesday night, a coffee shop that's slow on a Saturday afternoon at 2:00. You have libraries that have media centers. A lot of libraries have theaters and auditoriums and places to perform. You have restaurants that have back rooms that aren't doing banquets on a Thursday night. All these places are in your hometown. These are places you can go. You can knock on the door and say, hey, here's what I'm thinking. I know you guys are slow. I've been here a couple Saturdays now at this coffee shop. You're not doing too much business on a 2 p.m. And I'm thinking about, what if you let me do a podcast? I won't charge the house. If you want, pay me in a tall, dark coffee with a scone. I'll work for a blueberry muffin. But I'll come in, I'll set up my equipment, I'll record a podcast, and I'll invite my friends and my family in, and let's start there. And that's a way there's so many places in your hometown where you can start doing this without having the theater space. You get yourself a mixer, some speakers, and a microphone. Not a huge investment. There's some investment there, but now you have all the pieces that you need to do this multiple times. So if you go to that bar and do it on a Monday night when it's not football season, if you go to that restaurant on a Wednesday and say, hey, can I use your back room? I'll have people come in at 5. They'll order some dinner, some drinks, some appetizers. And then at 7, I'll do a show, and then we'll pack up and get out of here. Most restaurants will be excited to have you bringing in 10, 15 people. And that's business for them that they're not going to have on a Tuesday night. So there's so many ways to do this. There's so many ways to perform in your own hometown. You don't need to have the podcast theater night. That's why I tell people, like, hey, you don't got to come to me. I'd love it if you did. If you ever pass through, the stage is yours. But find somebody in your hometown. partner with somebody. But even churches, churches have rec centers in the basements, or they have stages on the side. They have multiple stages sometimes in churches where they have classes and meetings, and there's so many places that you have the opportunity to perform without doing a huge investment, where you can collaborate with the community, and they'll be excited. Like, oh, you're going to bring in 15, 20 people. Great. Let's try it out. See what happens.
Yeah. You already got my wheel spinning about where to do this show around here live somewhere. Cause I just think that's the funnest thing, because I'm a professional wrestler. So performing in front of an audience is a thing I love, but I also do a lot of community theater, and doing this is like the next best thing, except I just get to run my mouth for an hour or however long we're talking. And when I was reading over all your stuff, I'm like, now this is somebody right here who not only could I relate to, but that's the guy that I kind of want to be like right there, who's out here doing the thing that he loves and really building these communities. How important is it for you to help others build their communities?
It's like it's really everything. I always say, like, the most valuable thing I have. I obviously, I'm going to caveat with an asterisk. Family, right, is important. A wife, daughters, as far as me being me, my most important value is the words that I speak, is what I promise, what I deliver on. Like, if I give you my word, 120% is my word till I die. Like, I will honor it. And that to me is the most valuable currency, is, how trustworthy is this person? Do I want to work with this person? If everything I said was a lie and I get you into my theater, I'm like, oh, by the way, it's $500 you owe me.
Yeah.
Like, who's going to do business with me? That's not the way I operate. So, when I give people, I tell them how that works, and I tell them this is what we're going to do. That's it, 100% how it's going to play out. And at the end of the night, we sit down, I show them the ticket sales, and we split those 50-50. I tell them that in advance. Like, this is how it works. You'll leave with money in your pocket, and you don't owe me anything. There's no hidden fees. There's no cleanup fees. And that's important to me, because that's also the type of talent I'm trying to attract to the stage. I want honest people. I want people who are supportive. I want people who want to build a community and rise up together and be a part of something bigger than themselves. And I'm looking for that type of currency exchange with them too. Like, if they're gonna promise to do something, I expect them to come through on it, because they told me they would, and I value that word so much, because I value my word so much. I'm going to be there. If I say, hey, you want to do a rehearsal the night before, I will be there at 5. Let's do a walkthrough so that you're ready for the next night. And if they tell me they better show up the next night, right? Because they told me that's their word. So that idea of words as currency, as commitment as currency, as being there for each other, there's value to that. Those are important values that make a difference whenever you want to produce a show, whenever you want to work with me. Like, I'm going to tell you how it's going to go. You're going to tell me that you agree to that, and that's the agreement. And we're going to do that together, because that's we decided that's fair. We like that structure, and we're going to continue to move on it. And that's the value. I don't want to do contracts at this point. I don't want to be that guy with a lawyer standing over my shoulder, and we have to have every iron detailed. We lay it out. This is exactly how it is, and that value is the exchange, that handshake deal. That this is how we operate. You like that? We're going to do that together and move forward. And that's very, very important to me. And I want that from my community as well.
No, I love it. I think that's the best attitude to have too, because I think leadership like that, by example, and showing them that you're committed to them as well, can inspire people to say, you know what, that's how I need to be, and help build that community. I just think it's a brilliant way to do things. It reminds me a little bit of an actor's studio and how they do that, but in podcast form.
Yeah.
And to be able to go in there and tell somebody, hey, this is straight up all we're doing. It's not complicated. You just show up and do your thing.
Yeah.
You're going to be fine.
Yeah.
And I love that. And here's what's funny. I've got all these notes. It's a ton of notes, except you've answered so many of these questions without me having to ask them, so, which is hilarious.
I'm very efficient.
Oh, dude, you're good. You're good. But I see, and now my Chihuahua's going crazy because she's
excited how good I'm doing already. She's like, this guy's killing it. This guy's killing it on this interview. Yeah.
This is the thing about this dog. This dog hates my daughter's boyfriend. Now, the problem is that this is the only human being that dog hates. I can bring over somebody brand new, looks like Frankenstein, walk in that door, and he's like, "Ah, what's up?
Yeah.
How you doing?" Walks in, nope,
not having it.
Nope, and it was like that from day one. Day one, it's like that. So I apologize for the dog just going crazy. So I was noticing in the book this new business model for podcasting, and we talked about monetization a little bit and how money's not really just the overall thing. But for people who are interested in monetizing, I think a lot of people tend to think that there's just a couple of ways you can do this. Whether it's just merch, maybe if you can get into that, or the whole AdSense thing if you're on YouTube trying to create, if you're doing something that way. But you should have a whole laundry list of different ways this can work. Can you walk us through a little bit of that?
Yeah, if we go back to that original model, I said a lot of podcasters want to build an audience and then read ads and get money per 1,000 downloads for ad dollars. But you can still do that. And that's still part of this model. But I'm adding a layer before that where, okay, let's say we want to do a live show. So obviously the first way you can add revenue is ticket sales. Those ticket sales, we can tease up that ticket a little bit. We can do a BYOB ticket. So now it's $10. You don't like the drinks that they sell at the theater? Well, for an extra $5, you can responsibly enjoy the beverage of your choice. So now your $10 ticket's $15. And so we start to look at, how do we build value for the ticket holder? If you want to do a VIP experience, we start to say, okay, well, like some of the ones that do catering, they may be $20 or $25, but that includes a dinner. You might get a meal and drinks and food. So now your $10 ticket is $25. You may do commemorative merchandise. A lot of people do like show posters and they'll sign them afterwards. For an extra like $5, they'll do buttons and pins. So now you can do t-shirts, the merch that you're talking about.
Yeah.
When people come in, if you have a local business, we have people who sell, they ask for, can I put signage up in the theater? I'm like, yeah, get what you can. If they get like a business that sponsor $50, $100, they'll put up a sign. So now you got ticket sales, you got merch, you have sponsorships of the show, of the event only. You can put an ad on the tickets. So whenever you print the ticket out, you can put you can sell ad space on the tickets. Now you get the recording. You can tease up some of the sponsorship products and place their ad into the recording, or have them do another $100 deal. I'll put you in the recording. You put them on the video because you're going to get video recording. So now you have all these other ways, not just reading host read ads, but you're building these layers, these other incremental income streams from one single event. Can be ticket sales, can be advertising, can be merchandise, can be VIP experiences, can be, limited edition commemorative items, all these little things, the BYOB, you can tease up that value and really over deliver in some cases, because these aren't very expensive events. Most of them are $10, $15, $20 range for a ticket. With someone with VIP experiences, that's incredible in 2026 to be able to do that. And that's what we focus on is, what else is there besides just reading an ad for Purple Mattress? You can do all these other things and really deliver to your audience, to your community, and make a special evening that they leave smiling. And it's fun. I stand at the counter and the patrons a lot of times thank me for having the space. Like they're leaving the show like, we're so glad this is here. Like we didn't even know this was a thing. And you built that. Those podcasters built that experience and they deliver on it. And that's important to me. I always stand by the door. I open the door. I'll let people out and I thank them for coming in. So that's important to me too, because I'm representing their podcast as well. And I need to make sure that, the whole experience is great for them and they can deliver it. And that extra premium that some of them paid on that ticket, it was worth every single dollar to get that VIP, to get those button packs or posters. It was worth spending the extra money.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. That is incredible to me. Again, I think it's so forward thinking, and I think it helps out that we keep talking about community, but these other podcasters who are coming in there see that and they learn such valuable lessons. It sounds like being a part of this experience. What has the feedback been like from some of your podcasters who come in there and use your venue?
It's been, I mean, I don't want to like just sound one-sided, but I've been, everybody who's been there has enjoyed it. And I've had people come back multiple times. The feedback that I do get is we're really close to the train tracks, and these like 2-mile long trains come by. Sometimes they don't come by all day, but then they come by like 3 times at like 7:30 and 8. And it's just like, ugh. Because we're by an intersection, so you hear the horn for like a little bit, and because we are next to a bar, if I don't time the shows right, or I don't know what the bar schedule is, and they have like a DJ on like a Friday night at 9:30, sometimes there's conflict there. So those types of things, like environmental things, are kind of the feedback I get. Like, hey, this isn't great, but I'm like, hey, everybody starts somewhere, and this is where we're at right now. And yeah, we're near railroad tracks and we're near the bar, but those things don't really get picked up on the microphone. So if you're on the stage and you're hearing a train and you hear the bar, all you have to know is the microphones aren't going to pick that up. You're going to just, as long as you don't acknowledge it, nobody else is going to know what's happening. Just keep doing the show. Because what's more important is the recording that lives on forever. So you'll get the recording of the show without all that noise, being recorded.
Absolutely. I got a train track literally 50 yards to my right in the small little town I'm in, but it never fails. When I'm doing an interview or something, here it comes, but it never picks up on the mic.
Yeah. But if you don't acknowledge it, nobody's going to know. Yeah.
No, but this crazy little Chihuahua, he only barks when I'm talking on an interview. That's the only time. Other than
I want some attention.
Yeah. But you know what? And I'm like, you're part of the show now. You're the mascot. Just a little rabid dog running around here. But if someone wants to start a podcast tomorrow, what's the first thing you think they should do if they want to be successful?
Yeah, start, right? You probably have all the equipment you need right now to just start recording audio. And you don't know everything. You probably don't know anything about podcasting, but you have an idea, you want to do something. So just pick up your phone, open up the record app, and just talk into your phone for a little bit. Kind of maybe outline it, have some sort of structure. Just record your voice for the first time and play it back, right? There's enough tools out there. You can use Levelator to level the audio. That's a free tool. You can use Adobe Podcast. They have a beta. They have like a sound editor that you can use for like, I think you get like 30 free minutes a week or something. That you can clean up your audio in pretty real time. And just from your little phone microphone, end up with some sort of recording at the end of that. But you may do that 4 times, you may do that 5 times, but by the 6th time you do it, you're like, okay, I'm learning. Every time has improved. Every time I figured out I was saying a lot of uhs and ums and and you realize that you hate that because you have to edit all that out. And you gotta start somewhere. You have to start sometime. So this old saying, if not now, when? If not me, then who? Right? So do it. Get on the microphone. Start your first recording. Because if you're at this point today where you're like, what should I do on day 1? I guarantee you that person has been thinking about this for 9 to 10 months. Like, I want to do a podcast. I want to do a podcast. But they haven't done anything in 9 to 10 months. So on month 10, day 1, hit record your voice, put down a concept, put down an idea of what you've been thinking about, and see how that pans out, and then build off of that. But stop thinking about it. Just do it.
I'm so glad to hear you say that. Boy, because I'm just glad not to be the only one, because you do get asked that a lot when you're doing this stuff. I don't know how to do it. I will show you how to do it. I interviewed a gentleman the other day, great guy. First time I met him from across the pond, and he was like, I really am about to start a podcast, but I'm not really sure how to start. I said, dude, just message me. Yeah. I will help you get started. I can at least tell you what you can do to get started easy. I'll be happy to walk you through it. It won't cost you a dime. Just reach out.
Yeah.
but don't go through it alone, because nowadays you really don't have to. There are people willing to help. And I love that you've given a lot of these guys a great venue to do their podcast, experience this live, but they're also learning from someone who knows what they're doing. And that to me is so important, because how do you keep going when nobody seems to be listening? Because a lot of people fall into that trap. Like, I only got 2 downloads.
Yeah.
Nobody's listening. I mean, 12 of my first 14 shows have no downloads on this podcast.
Yeah. Well, I opened, so before this, I mentioned that I was doing this idea with the game show and the TV network. I also was producing virtual events after COVID. We probably did a dozen virtual events that were very successful. And there were some events where we would do it they were live streamed over 5 days. We'd have like 30 artists on a day, and we would do that like for 5 consecutive. So I built these big events, and they were very successful. I thought when I opened this in 2024 that, oh, there's podcasters everywhere. They're probably here in Pittsburgh too. When I open, I'll just find a bunch of podcasters when I open the doors. And whoopsie, real life doesn't translate to online life. So while I could announce an event online, like, hey, I'm going to do a virtual event, I'd often have the seats filled in 3 days. I'd have like 30 podcasters wanting to do a live show with me. And that was great, but it didn't translate to real life. So, those first couple of months when I opened the door, I had the initial wave of the excitement, but I didn't have any backup plan. There was nobody behind that wave of people to go on the stage. And I spent much of the summer of 2024 sitting in there watching tumbleweeds roll past the stage. I was like, oh boy, this is going to be a problem. But going back to that community, that's where I found value again. Is I started hosting monthly meetups. I bring people in, I talk about what this is, we tackle their biggest podcasting problems, and we grow together. And since then we've had 300-400 people come through the doors over the 2 years of doing these events. And again, it really does center around community. You mentioned if you want to start podcasting, go find somebody. There's people to talk to. You can watch YouTube tutorials now that you couldn't do that 15 years ago.
Yeah.
There's ways to get it done. And the community is the way to do it. Make those connections, find the people. And that's what'll push you through. Because when you have those down days, you're like, man, I worked a month on this stupid episode, and like nobody even cared. Like nobody listened to it. Yeah, I didn't get any feedback on it. Well, if you have a network of people, a community of people, like, oh man, you know what? 5 years ago when I started, I was performing to the crickets. Like there was nobody around when I was doing it. But just through happenstance, I met the right person. They introduced me to this person. We went to a conference together, and I met this person, and all these experiences stack upon each other. And because you have that community, you have that network, and all those little seeds you plant along the way, some of them sprout, and some of them grow up bigger than you can ever imagine. And they're never the ones that you think. And that's crazy. But you have to plant those seeds. You have to build that community. And when you're in the beginning, it's tough, and you're grinding, and it sounds like you're screaming into the void, but you will get there. But you can't do it alone. That's the thing I've learned at 50 years old now, is you cannot do all this by yourself. You need a network. You need a community. You need that family who's going to ride or die for you. And those people will lead to the connections, will be the springboard that makes the thing happen, that ends up being the thing that you've been dreaming about. Like but you have to go on that journey.
No, I agree 100%. Jeff, it was great having you here tonight. I know you got to get out of here. I know our time's getting short, but I do appreciate you coming on board and talking about it. It's fascinating to me. I love what you're doing, and keep doing it. I just think that's awesome.
Thank you. If you're ever in Pittsburgh,
dude, I'll have a reason to come. I'm here in the South, right? I'm in North Mississippi, just below Memphis. And I keep telling my girlfriend, we got to get out of here. We got to go travel a little bit more, maybe north. Yeah. And, dude, I would love to do that. I've told her we're going to have to make a trip. And after she gets back tonight, we got this podcast. We got to figure out a way to make a trip.
You're like, how do you feel about sandwiches with French fries on it? Because we're going to Pittsburgh. That's like our signature.
That sounds good to me,
Yeah.
especially after what I ate tonight. Good Lord. Good grief. But brother, I do appreciate it. Thank you so much for being a part of this. How do people follow you and find you?
Yeah, Poduty.com, Poduty.com. 6 letters. It's shorter than Netflix. So if you're tired of typing in 7 letters to go to Netflix, type in 6 letters, go to Poduty.com. We have all of our upcoming shows, events, the exact business model I talked about's on there. Like, remember, my words, my currency, and I publish it. So if I told you something tonight, I will publish it so you know that that's how it's going to be. And Poduty.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn. I'm fairly active there. I have a nice community. It's Jeff Revilla, Revilla on LinkedIn.
Let me ask you a bonus question for myself then real quick, because I'm on LinkedIn, but I never use LinkedIn. I'm always getting updates, and I never realized that you could use LinkedIn as building a community like that, and it was that interactive. Do you find that's the case a lot?
Yeah, a lot of it is because I'm also I'm a 16-year veteran. I'm a digital marketing director for an auto group. So I have a ton of connections in the automotive space, in the content marketing space. So that's stuff that I built up over 10 years. And it really is. It's making those connections at conferences. And I'd rather, when I meet professional people, I always connect with them on LinkedIn. I think I'm maybe 2,000 connections on LinkedIn. And those are pretty legit connections of people that I've talked to at conferences, at different podcast events, different podcasters who have been guests on my show. I like to connect with them so I know them. And this is a great way to stay in contact. And then when you need I know that person and I need a little bit of a referral, sometimes you can massage, getting an introduction to somebody you need, because you're building that up. And it's almost like the old Rolodex of the 1950s. That's your calling card. That's the way to make those connections.
There you go. Jeff, I appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much, and continued success. I hope it just keeps coming. And if you haven't visited, like he talked about, going to a site, Poduty.com, please go. I've been there, I've looked at it, and everything he just told you is the truth, like he said. I love how all your events are laid out, by the way. I was like, man, I am so far behind on my game. I've got to start doing my website and stuff and get it like this. Because
I'll give you the secret after the call.
It's good. It's good. But thank you again so much. Thanks for your time. I know it's precious to you. And hopefully we can have you back again sometime in the future.
I'd love it. Thank you so much. This has been great.
Thank you, sir. Have a good night. Be safe out there, and we'll talk soon.
We'll see you.
Thank you. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Jeff Revilla. Oh, my God. Dropped my mic, which is about normal. I have not been drinking. I promise. But go to Poduty.com. Check Jeff out. Isn't he awesome? I thought he was awesome. Very knowledgeable. Guys, you got to put in the work, put in the effort. But it can be fun, too. And again, it's the kind of community we're trying to build. He's built a great one. I know who I'm patterning myself after. I know. This has been a fun one for me. Very informative. Hopefully it was for you. Remember, you're listening to the FAFO Podcast. Facts, truth, no BS. Let's effing go. Talk to you soon.
On the floor, have a tank of gas. Does he boots on the wood, let the whiskey pass. This is FAFO, holler it loud. Fuck around with fiction, get the facts drawn. Getting triggers just the cost of the crowd. We're toxic to the lies, truth we're proud. This is FAFO, no smooth talk, no vibe.